Well, the bakery started in 1887 by my grandfather, who returned back from New York. His plan in life was not to continue his profession as a trained baker, but to go to New York where there was new opportunities. And his wife's family had a business there and he got a job there. But sadly his wife was going with him, but she was with child before he left. And once she had the baby, she decided she was staying in Ireland. So he came back and they started baking bread on the square in Cappoquin in the current premises. And it's there since 1887, baking bread by the Barron family. After him, my father Joe took it over, and he took it over in the 30s. And then he got married in 1942, and he had 5 daughters, and I was the youngest, and all my sisters worked in the bakery, and they liked it, but they all got married in their early 20s and had their families, and I was the career lady. I came and I did my profession is I'm a domestic science teacher, and I came home, which is all about baking and cooking. So I came home and learned the trade from my father and from my sister, the confectionery, and I carried it on from 1980 to 93. And then my husband, Joe Prendergast, joined me, and he brought a lot of marketing skills. His profession is background. He's a agriculture, a Bachelor of Agriculture, and he loves the organic. He's big into biodynamic agriculture, but he enjoyed making good bread, and he enjoyed what I was doing, and I needed his expertise in the bakery, and now Joe is running the bakery effectively. And we expanded the purchasing base. We came into the big market town, which is where we are now in Dungarvan, and that is just a 20-minute drive from Cappoquin, but that's where you had the higher population. So Joe started coming in here with our bread, which we hadn't done up to 1993. So that, was a huge investment, or not a huge investment, but it was a huge, an investment of time and work. And Joe did that, and he broadened the customer base for the bakery. And that then we went from strength to strength, because we did a label, branded it. It was a well-known bakery within our own area, and it was highly supported, but we moved out a little bit, just only 11-mile radius further than we did. So that has improved it, and Joe has worked very hard at sales, and he has great, he worked with encyclopedias, so he brought a lot of skills to. Can I just take this?
Yeah, sure.
No.
Could you talk about a little bit about how in the website description it mentions how in the last 30 years there's been a lot of bakeries that have closed, and could you address why that is, and then also what's allowed you to stay open, just to have that connection?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You can take your time.
Back in the 70s and early 80s, yes, it was in the early 80s, there was what you call a price war with bread. You had a breakthrough in bread making. You got big bakers got together and put up big factory bread bakers, and they started making bread, processing bread. They made processed bread, and bread that was baked in under 20 minutes. And they, as a result of that, they used bread as an object to bring people into supermarkets, at bread being half the price. Now it was a different product, and back in the early 80s, people weren't able to differentiate between good bread and real bread and processed bread. So it affected an awful lot of small bakeries. Small bakeries, because the purchasing power of bread went into the supermarket, and they weren't able to survive. So small family businesses like ours all closed in the late 70s, early 80s, because of a whole change in culture about bread. And it was brought on by people who were into making money as opposed to making bread. Whereas I come from a tradition of people who were making quality bread to nourish people. And it was about the quality of the bread. But then it became an object to produce something at a very low cost. And if you buy something at a low cost, somebody is paying the price. So the product was paying the price there because people weren't nourished as well, and people have grown intolerant to wheat, which of course is something that has come through bread not being given the proper time to break down the enzymes in the flour, so that it's made more digestible for people. So it was like we had this speed thing, it's organic as opposed to just rush things up, and they're losing all the flavour, all the nourishment to keep people healthy, which is the most important thing in our lives. So that was actually, but that's the bakery, and that's the roof of the bakery. And do you want to come out and see the chimney of the ovens? I used to come out and sunbathe here. And mind the shop at the same time, and the bell would go in the shop, and I'd run down the stairs to answer the shop. Oh no, we don't do that anymore, do we?
Okay, so
the sun wasn't as dangerous then. So look, that is the chimney of the ovens, the bakery oven, and that whole building with that roof is the bakery, the bakehouse. We call that the bakehouse. Yeah. So you have an aerial view now.
So these were all your neighbors growing up?
They're all our neighbours, and that was the butcher, and that was a toy shop, Mrs. McGrath's toy shop, and that's a pub.
And what are they now?
Well, the pub is still there, but the toy shop is gone, and the butcher's is gone. But
you guys are still here.
And we're still here, yes. Yes, it's a miracle.
Could you speak a bit to the community, because it references on your website too that you've had a lot of support locally that has allowed your bakery to continue to thrive and not close, and just from what I've seen now at the farmers market, you guys seem to know most people that are coming to buy, and there's a definite community there.
Oh, there is, and I mean, this is the wonderful thing about the farmers market. It is the comeback to the community, because when you come to the farmers market, they're not rushing. It's a different environment to shopping than anywhere else, and they're supporting the local people who they know live out the road, or a farmer who's growing some vegetables, or a man who has lovely free-range eggs, and they make beautiful things. So people come to support it because they're leaving their money in the area of within their own community, and that's a great thing.
Yeah. And that's affected your bakery specifically?
Well, we're very appreciative, and that was, our book was really a tribute to our community, and it was in their honour that we did it, for recognition for them, and to point out, because I think that book will become more valuable as the years go by, because it's the basis of that. My father had that principle: put your money where you get it. If the man selling the draper up the road came in and bought your panloaf, he went up and ordered his suit from him, when he needed new clothes. So we would always have to go to people who supported us to buy things, and that helped everybody. And then if you had a problem, it's great, you can go back to them and say, look, I'd prefer if this was this or that was that, So it's nice to know where you're putting your money. You earn your money hard, and it's very good to be conscious of where you're putting your hard-earned money, because those sort of things come back to you, because you're improving the service around you. If you're keeping your money in your own community, you're improving it. You won't have towns that become dormitory towns where people just come there to sleep at night and work in the bigger, because it's lowering the quality of lifestyle for everyone.
Have you seen a lot of things in your community close over the years?
Oh, we have, yes. I mean, we've just one supermarket now. We used to have two cobblers for our shoes. We had two tailors, people who made their suits and their skirts or pieces of tweed. And we had about 3 drapery shops when I was a child. There was only one bakery had survived while I was there. I don't know why, the reason for that is, but in my father's time there were 6 or 7 bakeries. I suppose change in culture. When my father grew up, people only ate bread. They didn't have the money to go and buy, well, you hadn't biscuits, the way you get packet biscuits in supermarkets, they weren't on the shelves. The barmbrack that he gave out at Christmas was like $1 million, because people didn't have barmbrack only at Christmas time. So it was a big treat. And all these things, we don't do that anymore, give out a barmbrack at Christmas. We give them a calendar and something like that, because things have changed, It's just the passing of time. But I think, yes, I do like the idea of having all the services within our community, and having different shops. Ones that specialise in teas, we had that in Cappoquin. We had a sweet shop, and you could get beautiful chocolate sweets, ones that you wouldn't normally get in the country, where nowadays you'd have to go to a city to get these good, well, it's a different thing now, but there was a time there where, you had these specialised shops that you got particular quality stuff, and that was great. Am I making sense?
You are.
Am I?
But many of these places have closed.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of those shops in those days, really, it was a way of life.
I definitely want to get this, so.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I forget I'm talking on this. I think I'm talking to you.
No, it's okay. I realize you need to eat too, so take your time.
I'll finish it. It's a different world, and it's just that they did it for a way of life, Hunter, It wasn't, they weren't in it. They didn't have any bank loans. So society was different. Banks have destroyed society, Okay, maybe we need banks, and you need a little bit, but it's the greed. You buy this and then you want more and more and more. That's what destroys people. It's, you have to maybe borrow a bit to improve your house, and then you work it off and you pay for that before you start another thing. But now the banks will encourage you to do so, Weird. No, I'm finished with that. I'm not having any more.
Okay. Doing construction, huh?
Yeah. Progress, they call it. I did. But yes, I think, we had all those shops, and people, it was a way of life. And I mean, for the 80s, for me, it was a way of life. I wasn't in it for making the money. I was paying my bills, paying my staff, and, surviving. I was living in a home that was my family's home for years. So as a result of that, my needs were little. But if I had big needs, I'd have closed the shop, because it wasn't worth all the work for the return. So that's the difference for being passionate about what you do, But if I had big bank loans and if I had things, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's nice always to keep your independence and your freedom from being controlled by some big institution like a bank. I've no time for banks. I think they grab all your money and they don't care about people. They just want machines there to deal with you and take all your money. It's all one, it's too focused on just money, money. Anything that is one focus is bad. We need the tripod, the three-legged stool for balance. They have to have a social aspect. They closed the small bank in Cappoquin, and I often saw on a Monday morning an old lady come out to pay her ESB bill, and what she loved was coming out. It gave her something to come out her door in the morning, pay her ESB bill or her electric bill, and she may be living on her own, and to interact with the girl behind the counter and ask how she was, and all that social side, which is so important that we need, not all these machines. Anyway, I suppose I'm old-fashioned.
It's good though. I walked around Cappoquin a little bit yesterday getting some shots, and it's a very quaint, it's a pretty town.
Oh, we're on the banks of the Blackwater and on the foothills of the Knockmill Downs, and it is very, very picturesque. And there's a lot of lush farmland around. It's the dairy land, and it's a wooded area with beautiful trees. And we're just quite near the sea as well. So we've mountain, sea and river. I think we have it all, It's the most stunning area, and then it's not overpopulated, which is really the beauty of everything. We all need our space, and this is the problem with the new living. Everybody is all in the one cities, and it's not good for man. But it will turn around again, I'm sure. I won't be there to see it. But
I also noticed, apart from it being so pretty, that there's quite a few businesses with boarded up windows. There are several, at least. Why is that? Why
because the families have moved on, and those houses aren't. They're not there for the needs, and I suppose planning planning is very bad in small areas, in the sense that I think that the county council, the authorities, should be taking those houses, making them livable for maybe a couple who just get together and haven't started a family, and have it up to today's standards, so that they're used. So when they move on to buy their house out, one suitable for rearing children, or old people could come and live in those houses where they have services that they can walk to church or walk to the post office or walk. That is a lack of planning for deteriorating towns, for the change. They build new instead of refurbishing old, and that's why.
But some of those buildings are businesses as well, not just residential, correct?
Yeah, well, they were businesses, but they were family-run businesses, and it just wasn't viable anymore for them to do it. And the families just weren't interested in carrying on the trade or the profession that was held on those. And anyway, they wouldn't be. It wasn't really about that. It was just that the social structure is now that you go to the departmental store, which departmental stores should be banned. I think I'm going to be a radical. Anyway, so, Hunter,
yeah,
I must go back to the work,
okay.
to the day job. I must keep the bread on the table.
Yeah. No,
I think that's it, is it?
Sure. Yeah. If there's anything final you want to say, just about Barron's, about kind of anything you want, but maybe kind of something that includes the future in its scope, Something.
Well, I think the future is that a new generation comes along, and that has started in the coffee shop. You've Emma and Aoife after taking over the coffee shop, and I hope that will be a very successful story, because they have children coming on. So let's hope and pray that's what will be. That is the best thing that could have ever happened to me the day they came knocking on the door. And Joe, they came knocking on the door to know could they take that over. And anyway, it's a lot of hard work, and it doesn't mean they might have good years and they'll have bad years. So that's the part that I worry about, because you're not in it for making the money. You don't do it. You have to make money, and don't get me wrong, but if you're in it solely for making money, then that'll be the end of it. But you know, everything dies, so nothing goes on forever. But I've done my bit. I've spent 42 years in the bakery, and I've made twice the size that it was prior to Joe coming in, and Joe then tackled the sales thing when we came in, so we got more power market wise because of his skills, and he brought his new blood into it, gave it new life. It possibly would have died in the mid-90s only for Joe. It would have died because I was getting tired then. My father died in 1980, and you know, 95 it would have closed, which would have been 15 years after my father dying. But Joe came in and he new energy, new blood, and had the skills also that was needed at the time, and that has brought it into 2016, which is brilliant.
And the good thing is too, continuing on that, it seems like you'll continue to have that community support. I mean, people know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah. We have there's a respect, and you know, we have that sense of community. Yeah, everybody knows about Barron's Bakery.
And they'll continue to want to buy your bread, right?
They do. Yes, they love our bread, and it's great.
Well, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. It was a pleasure.